I ran marketing departments in corporate America for 10 years and then ran a digital agency for over another 10 years. So I know the roadmap to online success, and that formula always includes producing content to share your message, from your marketing message to sales and delivery. Hi, I'm Jennifer Neal, and you're listening to the Content Toolbox. I believe the secret to finding and creating raving fans online is through you. In building relationships through stories that share who you really are, create genuine, crazy, raving fans that keep begging you to take their money. And on this podcast, we'll be talking strategies, tactics, tips, and more with myself and other industry experts. So buckle up and start your engines, because it's go time. Okay, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Content Toolbox. My guest today has so much experience that literally every single time I talk to him, I learn something new. So, of course, I had to share him with you guys. So I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Bill Crane. Welcome, Bill.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Jennifer. I've been looking forward to this. When we book this like a month ago?
I know.
I didn't put on the blue tie. People always tell me I look like Donald Trump. And I'm like, well, apparently the worst time in history to look like the president.
Right? That's hilarious. But now that you say it, I can totally see the resemblance. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, Bill. So I gave, I know a little bit about your history and stuff, but why don't you kind of give us a little bit about where you came from and sort of what you're doing now?
Well, the interesting thing about me is I came from nothing. My mother used to tell me growing up, because it's the way she was raised, that you were born to be nothing. You're never going to be nothing. Just go to school, graduate high school, get a job, be in a factory, stay there your whole life and collect a pension. And I was always like, what? I don't know why, but there was something inside of me that just said, no way. Because I'm seeing what my grandparents did, my uncles did, my mom had to put up with, because my dad left when I was 4 years old. And so here she is, a single mother. Yeah. So she was tough. And, growing up, we were broke. So she had me go door to door selling things. She had me selling pine cones at truck stops when I was 5 years old.
Wow.
So that's my first memory of sales. And then all growing up, she had me selling telephone books or newspapers, candy bars. In high school, I was selling steak knives door to door in an apartment complex. Today, if someone knocked on your door and you opened it and they had a steak knife, you'd call the police or something.
Right? True. But you learned the art of cold calling very early on.
I learned the art of cold calling, and I learned not to be afraid to talk to strangers.
Yeah.
And that is, we teach our kids, don't talk to strangers. And we don't realize what we're doing is literally killing the entrepreneur inside of our kids. And that's why entrepreneurship is so rare today. And it's really what this country was founded on. Somebody said, okay, this sucks over in England. I'm going to get on a boat and I don't know where I'm going, but it's going to be better than here.
Right.
And we've kind of killed that. So, it's one of the things I became consciously aware of. So I never told that to my kids. I just told them, if a stranger tries to do something, here's where you kick them.
Right. So good advice.
But yeah, we have to not be afraid to go out and ask people if we can help them. That's really all it is about. We see people who have a problem that we can solve, and then we offer them some help.
Yeah.
Because not everybody's good at everything. In fact, I don't think anyone's good at everything.
Yeah, and we really shouldn't be. It's been my curse.
Oh, God, yeah. I just built out this new studio all by myself. And because of Corona, it's really hard to get help anyway. So I had to learn a bunch of things I should have never learned. I should have just stuck with selling stuff and sold more stuff, and it wouldn't matter how much it costs, just pay the expert to do it.
Yeah, it's the entrepreneurial trap, man. We all fall into it. But I will say, for those of you guys listening or watching on video, this amazing backdrop behind Bill, this is not virtual. This is actual real. It's very cool.
Yeah, this is 6 4K TVs. So yeah, that's kind of my backstory, the short order. Then I got into real estate because as I was a kid, we lived in an apartment and I walked to school. But I had to walk past what I thought were amazing houses. And I thought to myself, Mom, how come, why don't we live in a house? We live in this apartment. I think the guy that lived above us invented the Macarena or something. But so I always said, how come we can't have a house? And my mom just said, well, we can't afford it. And then when I was in high school is when like the infomercial was born. And I was always a fan and a student of marketing. Like instead of watching cartoons, I would watch infomercials. And I didn't know it, but at the same time, I knew that was like my ticket out.
Yeah.
So I got into real estate early, and it was so helpful that I had all that childhood sales experience because I went and interviewed with different real estate brokers, and I had no idea how it worked, right? But the first two talked to me about it was like a 50-50 split. And then when I got the Remax, they said, well, it's 100% split. You just have to pay a desk fee. And I'm like, okay, fantastic. So I joined up there. And then after like 2 weeks, I'm like, Ed, when does the training start? And he's like, well, you're supposed to know what you're doing before you come to Remax. I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah, most people start at Century 21 or Coldwell Banker, and then they come here. Like, well, you knew that I was brand new, fresh out of school.
Yeah.
Well, if I would have told you that, you wouldn't have joined up, So I'm like, well, you got to help me. So he goes into like the broom closet and gets this old VHS tape. Some people probably don't even know what that is. Go home and watch this and just do whatever that guy says. So I do that. And the guy is telling me to do all the things I grew up doing. Go knock on doors. In one of those things, it even said, like, if your office is like in an area where there's like a stoplight, an intersection, go outside and knock on people's car windows. I'm like, because of the way I grew up, I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's what you do. So I go out front and I'm knocking on car windows, and the broker and everyone's like looking out the window, like laughing at me. Look at this kid. He doesn't know what he's doing. I'm picking up listings from knocking on people's car windows because no one else had ever tried it. They just figured, well, no, you can't do that. And I was like dumb, but at the same time, it was brilliant. I just did what I was told and it worked. And it's funny because that carries over into like everything in life. I see so many people will sign up for a coaching or a training program. And I've been guilty of it too. Like we sign up for something and then we don't do the thing that we were taught to do. And then of course, nothing happens, but then it's the guy's fault, like that we bought the program for, but like, if we don't do what we're told, it's guaranteed not to work, So, but of course, most people don't want to admit, I was just lazy or afraid or whatever. So all of those things just really led into how I got into high ticket sales, because like real estate, I mean, unless you're selling jets, it's pretty much the highest ticket that it can get, right? But obviously there's a lot more people that want to buy a house than want to buy a jet. So I learned all these different things because, I started my family young too. I got married when I was 21. We had our first kid right then. And that's actually kind of why we got married. It worked out though. We're still married. So that's good. Yeah. And so I had hoped to get into real estate full time. Then the first year in real estate, I paid Remax $27,000 and I made $16,000.
Oh, ouch.
So I was $11,000 in the hole doing it part-time. And, and I thought for sure, like I've got all these remodeling clients, like, they'll just have me sell their houses or buy new houses or whatever, but they just saw me as the remodeling guy. But they couldn't see me as the real estate guy.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point I made the decision, okay, I just have to just stop, go real estate full time. I was lucky enough that I had saved some money. And so I figured I was good for like a year. And what I ended up doing is, because at first I was making the door knocking, right? But then I realized, you're limited. You're grossly limited by how much time you have. So you can knock on, depending on how tight the subdivision is, you might be able to do 100 doors in a day. But if they're farther apart, you might only be able to do 20. So I realized I could make a lot more phone calls a lot more efficiently. So then I started making phone calls. And eventually, when I got good at making phone calls, I heard about this thing called a predictive dialer. So I purchased a 15-line predictive dialer.
Uh-huh.
So I would just be making calls all day long. And if you don't know what a predictive dialer is, whoever's listening, essentially, if you ever get a phone call and like I literally just got one 2 seconds ago and someone hangs up, like, or you answer and they're there, but they're not there. It's because the salesman on the other side is actually didn't get hung up on in the normal amount of time that he gets hung up on. So you might be making a sale or someone just listening or whatever, but the predictive dialer learns the average amount of time the salesperson gets hung up on, and then it's supposed to time it. So instantly there's another person in this. The second you get hung up on, you go right back into your pitch. So I did that for years, and I was making about 400 phone calls a day.
Wow.
So what I learned through all that, not only how to be good on the phone, but I learned what resonates with people, what they want to hear, what they don't want to hear, what's going to tick them off, what's going to make them happy, how to speak to their listening, because we try to make everything really complicated. And then the so-called gurus, they feed upon that, right? Because they want you to believe it's complicated and they have the answer. But the reality is it's super, super simple. Like the answer to everything in business is give people what they want, right? And we can even see it today in politics. One of the reasons why I follow politics is those are the best salespeople in the world. We don't think of them as salespeople, but that's exactly what they are. And whether you like Trump or Biden, they're telling their audience what they want to hear. And that's why what happens all the time is someone gets elected. Once they're elected, now they go do their own thing. But in business, we don't get to do that. In business, if we don't follow through, what happens? We get fired. We don't get paid. The deal doesn't close. People ask for refunds, whatever. So it's like, it's good to follow that stuff, but don't like model it too closely, because the most important thing in business is follow through as far as that's something that really turns me off. And it turned me off in real estate, because real estate, there's a huge lack of training in the industry, but at the same time, there's abundance of training. But the problem is there's no actual training. So you've got people who've never done it teaching it. So you've got the blind leading the blind.
Yeah.
And I see that happening in the digital marketplaces as well, because if you're a guy who really knows how to sell courses, then great. You could probably teach someone how to sell courses, but they make their pitch look like it can help anyone and everyone. Mm-hmm. And it can't, because like you could help the person that you're expert at doing that particular thing, right? But then when they make it super broad, they end up with a lot of failure.
Yeah.
So I wish they would be like more niche.
I know, it's the thing we all hear, and probably that we all fear, right? Until you actually do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how have you taken like all of that experience that you had through real estate? And I know that you are super successful, but now you don't do it anymore, right?
I do still do it.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Not as much. Like I just showed a house last night, and then I've got one offer in the pipe right now. So it's not what I do every day, but because I do have a very large past client base, I get people call me up, and I try to refer as much of it as possible. But sometimes people are like, no, I really want to work with you. And then, I just kind of set the ground rules. Like, I don't want to show someone 200 homes. Like, right. I just want to find them the best home and negotiate the best deal on it. What I really love doing is listing and selling, because that's the marketing part of it. So I really love doing that.
True.
Mostly I just love teaching people how to sell, and especially high ticket, because what most people don't realize is if your product or service is really good, to me, there's a lot of commonalities between that and selling houses, because there are people that will put it in the MLS for like $200-300, and then you pay a commission only to the buyer's agent. And we call those input brokers, or some people call them discount brokers. And then there's people that might only charge, 1%, 2%, 3% on their side, which might end you up to 4, 5, 6. And then, of course, there's the 7, 8, 9, 10 people as well that goes all the way up to premium. So there's similarity there because it's all results based.
Yep.
So if I can put more money in your pocket than the other person can, then logic dictates that I'm worth more. Like, would you rather pay me 3 times as much to help you make $1 million, or pay this other guy 1/3 to help you make 50 grand?
Right.
Like it becomes a no-brainer at that point. So I really love helping the entrepreneurs to be able to 10x their business and their prices, because I've worked with people who were giving it away for $250, then raised their price to $2,500 and eventually $25,000. And some of it is packaging and positioning, and like we give away too much. And sometimes, like, I've seen people sell a $250 product that if it was even possible for the person to implement everything, they would easily make 7 figures. So what happens is they end up choking on it because
Right.
it is like drinking from a fire hose. So what I found in the training in coaching space is because we are so masterful at our talent, our skill, that what we do, we totally take it for granted. We don't think it's worth anything. We just think, oh yeah, well, it's no big deal. Do this, Like even me, like I broke down, like sales is just all about what do people want? Like literally, if I could ask you, well, Jennifer, what do you want to accomplish? And you told me, and then I said, well, yeah, that's exactly what we do. Like it's that simple, but yet obviously that's going to turn into a larger conversation and there's going to be a whole sales process there. But in reality, the objective is really focusing on what your target wants. And if you can't honestly deliver that better than anyone else in the world, then ethically you should not be doing it. If you know there's a better solution and you sell those people your solution, you're doing them a disservice. So like you have to feel like with every fiber in your being that you're the best possible solution in the world. And once you can get yourself to that point, all of a sudden, if you don't make them an offer, you get sick to your stomach. Why? Because you're allowing someone else is going to take advantage of them because someone is going to sell them something.
Yeah, totally.
Probably going to be someone that's inferior to what your offer is, who doesn't really even care if the people have success or not, who, if they weren't happy, wouldn't refund them. Like I see on some of these forums every day, like, oh, this jerk, wants a refund. Like, why is he a jerk? I mean, you obviously didn't deliver the results.
Right. Yeah.
That just boggles my mind when I see stuff.
I mean, especially like right now where the digital space is so full. And there's just more people jumping in than ever. Like it is so much about, I mean, even as consumers, when we're buying things, like really doing your research and seeing, am I actually going to be getting what I'm paying for right now? Because it should be results-based.
It should be results-based, and that's all it should be. And people should be giving a guarantee. I see these people selling $30,000 programs and it has like a 14-day guarantee. It's like, come on. Like really? Like you don't have any confidence in your program then. And they might give 100 testimonials, but they're all like testimonials they got right after the person was super excited and they just paid for it.
Right.
There's so much of that. And I've even seen some testimonials on people's things that I thought were like, you could just kind of tell they're fake. Like they might have a green screen background or it just like looks almost too professional. And then I've actually gone into like Fiverr and typed in testimonials and yep, there it is. Like people are using fake testimonials that they pay $5 for. I'm like, man, I really hope people are being careful.
Wow.
With who they embrace as their mentor, their coach, their trainer, because there is a whole lot of people out there that took an online course yesterday. And like today they're the guru.
Now you're an expert. Yeah.
It's horrible.
Okay, so let's dive into this just like a little bit, since we want to talk specifically about content and message and how we're using that in our business. So you mentioned already a guarantee. I mean, that's one message. Like, what are some of the steps that you kind of walk your coaches through, or you as a coach walk your clients through right now in finding that positioning and sharing it?
Well, first of all, everything is message to market match, right? So like, if you're selling pens and someone doesn't need a pen, like they're not going to buy it, right? So it's like if you remember the Wolf of Wall Street, he was like, "Well, sell me this pen." You know? And the part they didn't show is I know what Jordan would do if someone said, "No, dude, I don't need a pen." He'd say, "Okay, have a nice day," and like go sell it to someone else, because at a certain point it is a numbers game, and the biggest secret that the best salespeople in the world keep to themselves, and especially high ticket people, is if you don't want what I have, I'm not even going to spend 3 seconds trying to sell it to you. What's that going to do? It's going to give me rejection, frustration. It's going to cause me to have a bad day, because I don't care who you are, you don't like to be rejected. So the biggest mistake salespeople make is trying to sell people things they don't want. And in the high ticket, it's worse, right? Because no one's going to give you $25,000 if they don't really, really, really want it. So I've like flip it around, and I've actually taken it to the level where I've made people beg me to take their money.
I mean, that's not a bad problem to have. Just saying.
But like, it's not going to happen like all day long, every single day, right? But the nice thing with high ticket is you don't need to make 100 sales a day. Like if you're selling ebooks for $7, you got to sell a lot of ebooks. And I know there was someone who made like the 2 Comma Club for selling ebooks. That's fantastic, but that's a whole lot of ebooks. And who knows how much marketing dollars they had to spend or any of that. So that's what I love about high ticket is, you deal with people who want what you have and appreciate what you have. And also because they're paying more, they're that much more likely to do the work because they've got to explain to their significant other why they just wrote a check or charged the card for 25 grand, 50 grand, 100, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Even if it's $1,000, most people are going to have to explain it to someone.
Right.
And it's just a motivational factor. Like you can have the exact same product, charge someone $1,000 or charge someone $25,000, and I'll guarantee you the person that paid 25 grand has more success with it.
Because they're more engaged. Like,
I paid that much money, I better make this work, otherwise I'm an idiot. $1,000, some people are like, yeah, whatever. I've been that way. I've paid $1,000 for stuff, and I've never, it scratched that itch at the moment. But as far as walking people through the process of what the guarantee is, first of all, when I do high ticket coaching and consulting, I find out exactly what the people want to accomplish. So like the guarantee is custom built based upon them.
Oh, that's interesting.
So if I'm consulting and you hire me to help you get a certain result, let's say you want to hit 7 figures. So we're going to build that guarantee based upon what you want to accomplish. If I'm unable to help you accomplish it, then I sincerely believe that I don't deserve your money. So
totally fair.
And it is fair because like I'm not charging you $1,000 to watch my videos for a year, which is what so many people do. I'm charging you a lot more than that. And we're getting on Zooms and when you're having a difficulty, you're depending on me to be able to step in and solve that problem.
Right.
So, like I can't do the work for you, but you're hiring a consultant who's already been there and done that so that they've probably already solved your problem. And it's not about like how much time it takes me. Like if you're struggling with something for a month and then you ask me a question and I can just snap my fingers in 2 seconds, like that has way more value than you having to struggle for a year to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where the value comes in, is to being able to compress time and accomplish your goal faster.
So valuable. Yeah.
In the biggest thing is really to accomplish your goal. Like what, so one of the things I ask people as we're going through this is, like if I can help you hit your objective, does it make any difference to you whether it takes, 1 year, 1 week, or 10 years? Like if you're going to pay me 100 grand and it takes a year, or if it takes a week, like, are you going to think I ripped you off if it only takes a week? And if you're the type of person who's like, yeah, well, then you're not a good fit. And I'm not going to take you on as a client, because my objective is to work with you as least as amount as possible. How
every coach's goal.
if you could pay me $1 million, it's not so that I can get on a Zoom with you every day for a year,
right?
So that I can help you get a result, and I want to get you that result as fast as possible. Just because, hey, like I've got this little 2-year-old granddaughter now. I'd rather go play with her than like hang out on Zoom all day long. So it's mutually beneficial. I want you to get your result faster, and I don't want to have to spend as much time. Like I love doing this. Like I would do this all day long because it's fun.
It is. Yeah.
But what is more fun and satisfying to me, it's like a drug, is getting the result. And I think like we're all addicted to something. Some people, they get into drugs or alcohol. I like food and making money. Like that's my thing. So if I can help you make money faster, and also I think I got this too from when I was in the construction business, and then in the real estate business, it was the same thing, right? So time compression. If I can remodel a kitchen in a week versus a month, I get paid the same amount either way. If I can sell a house in 3 days versus 3 months, I get paid the same amount either way. So I look at the coaching in the same difference. Really consulting. Coaching tends to be more long-term. Consulting is where I'm getting in and working on the pitch. I've even taken to the point where like when I write a pitch for someone like I see all the time people are looking for copywriters, but I'm not only going to write the pitch, I'm going to deliver the pitch, right? So like on video, so that you know what the right tonality inflection is, where you should pause, where you should really go hard on a certain point, so that way, like when I give someone over their pitch, it's not just a bunch of words on a page and PowerPoint screen with pictures.
Right.
It's like put your headset on and follow along just like you would the new Cardi B song, and do it 100 times. Because when I used to teach my agents in real estate, when I opened my first office, I was amazed by how people, they didn't want to get on camera and film themselves. And I think more and more people are totally okay with it today, but still a lot of people aren't. And so people get shut down and embarrassed.
Yeah.
So they don't want to film themselves, but there's nothing more valuable. If you film yourself doing your presentation, if you get to the point where you like what you're doing, then everyone else is going to love it.
Yeah.
You're definitely your most,
harshest critics for sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's great advice though. I have done a lot of just filming, just like when I first started, just to get used to the camera. But when you actually watch your own performance back, then it's like, oh, yeah, I'm getting bored, or oh my God,
yeah,
I'm confused.
And one day it occurred to me a few years ago, to really just make sure that I'm as comfortable as I can possibly get. And I just turn on my webcam. I just film myself all day long, whatever I'm doing, and then you just notice yourself doing something stupid or whatever.
Right.
But just that's how the camera, you can get to the point where you can talk to the camera as if it's a person.
Yeah.
And it is.
Totally can.
It takes rehearsal. I watch a series, it's an old series called Inside the Actor's Studio. And they interview all these different actors. And Robert De Niro, he said that he has never, ever shot a movie, a TV spot, or anything without rehearsing it a minimum of 500 times.
Wow.
And the Oscars that he won have one thing in common. He rehearsed those parts 1,000 times before he ever did it on camera for the director. And then, of course, it's not necessarily once and done when it's on camera. So it's people don't want to rehearse, but it's the same thing in sports. It's why is LeBron James probably the best there ever is going to be? It's not just because he's gifted. I mean, there's lots of people who are 7 feet tall, but he's constantly practicing, which is rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it and do it and do it. And so it creates that muscle memory so that then when a prospect asks you a question, you can just spit out the answer and you don't even have to think about it.
Such great advice. Oh, yeah. So I'm curious because I've noticed a trend lately, especially when talking with people selling anything high ticket, is that instead of sticking with the funnel and driving a whole bunch of people in and converting them digitally and via pre-recorded something, a lot of people are just going back to good old fashioned knock on doors, get on a phone, doing these Zoom calls. Is that a trend that you're using, that you've seen, that you're teaching your clients?
Yeah, well, high ticket sales is usually going to be about a one-on-one conversation. So my definition of high ticket is vastly different than most. I won't even name the probably most famous guy for selling high ticket because he likes to sue people every time they mention his name. But, he's selling a program and he's teaching people how to sell things for $1,000 for other people so that you can make $100,000 a year. That might be an amazing entry-level sales program, but that is not what high ticket is. High ticket to me is if I really want to stretch it, is probably $5,000. But really, when I say high ticket, I'm thinking $25,000 and up.
Yeah. And
especially if you start getting into corporate, creating presentations for a corporate entity and then training their sales force, that could be $300,000, $1 million, $2 million. It's a lot of money. People like Grant Cardone, that's where he really made a lot of money in the beginning before he ever started selling to the masses. He was selling to corporations, and those can be multi-million-dollar contracts. So to me, high ticket is at least $25,000. I do enjoy teaching entry-level sales as well, and I'm actually going to be putting out something soon on that because I do want to make a bigger impact. If you've seen my Facebook page, I say I'm on a mission to create 1,000 new millionaires.
Yeah.
like I think there's so much value in creating new ones. And from there, you can create an inner circle and a mastermind that is just so powerful. Because I believe like where one billionaire isn't going to change the world, 1,000 millionaires working together can.
Yes,
so
I can see that.
Inspiration for that. That's it. Like I'm on a mission to create 1,000 new millionaires, and I think that'll have a huge impact on the world. And I don't even know what inspired me to do that. Like just one day it hit me in the head that I want to make such an impact on the world that if I were to disappear today, it's like, and if we could all live our lives like that, we probably wouldn't be arguing about politics all the time.
Where's the fun in that? Come on. All right. So what are some of the top tips that you share with your clients when you're first starting to work with them, or like advice that you would give?
The first thing is you have to know what you are the best at. What result do you provide better than anyone else? And like that might be a super, super, super niche thing that you can grow upon. And you might think to yourself, well, nobody wants this thing. Like I might be best in the world at, but nobody wants it. No, like there's people making $1 million a year teaching crafting.
True. Yes.
Teaching how to put butterflies on t-shirts. So it's like, no matter what it is, there's a market for it. And don't think to yourself that because I'm super niche, that makes my market too small, because the reality is it makes your life so much easier. Because the real curse in being an entrepreneur is believing that you have something that can help everyone. And then your market is so big that you can't even identify who really wants it.
Yep.
Because the magic comes in when you know what you have and you know who wants it. Like I've gotten two Comma Club awards so far from Russell, and I haven't run a single Facebook ad, like zero. Like if you ask me to train you how to do Facebook ads, I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
I know how to write ads. I can write really good ads, but how do I put it into Facebook? I have no idea. I'd have to hire someone to do that, which I probably will, because I do want to reach a bigger audience. But the moral of that story is like, if a person wants to earn 7 figures, they can do it without Facebook ads. They can do it without having a gigantic audience. If you can charge 40 people 25 grand in a year, that's $1 million.
Yep.
Now,
there you go.
You have to have something that's pretty valuable, and you have to be willing to work and hold their hand and go through the process. But I think if you're getting paid $1 million and you don't have to spend, like some of these people, that are making a lot of money, they might make $1 million, but they spent 950 grand on ads.
Right? Oh yeah. So true.
I definitely don't want to be that guy.
No.
So I'm willing to work for $1 million, and making the mistake of choosing too large of an audience, because when you know exactly who has the problem that you can solve, then it's like so easy. Like
it is.
You can call them up, you can knock on their door, you can send them a message, you can target an ad if you want to learn how to do that. It only hits those people. Like, I don't know how small you can niche it, but I think you can niche it pretty small. Or you can go in groups that has that kind of people and just come from contribution and give. That's how I get a lot of my clients, is just by give. And then people just reach out to me and say, hey, I've been looking for a coach, a trainer, a consultant. Maybe we can work together. Can you help me? And they usually come to me.
There you go.
And that's really what marketing is all about. I think most people misunderstand marketing. So my definition of marketing is activities that lead to an opportunity to make a sale, right? So like today, this is the marketing, right? So like maybe there's someone in your audience that wants help, but different help than you provide.
Yep.
In your podcast, obviously, it's going out there to a lot of people, probably millions and millions of people. And so you're exposing yourself to people, and then the ones that want help with what you provide are going to reach out to you. So it's mutually beneficial. And then when it hits, I put it on my page, send it to my list. And maybe there's someone on there that says, hey, you know what? I think Jennifer can really help me. There's something about her. I don't know what it is, but I really relate to her. Maybe she can help me. And so it's all marketing. And
it is. It's relationships.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of which, because perfect tee up. So if people want to find out more information about you or how to get a hold of you, where do we send them?
Well, they can certainly check me out on Facebook. I'm there all the time. But I got a couple of websites I send people to. BillCrane.com if you kind of want to see my story. That's like my hero page that just says some of the stuff I've accomplished in my life. So you can see what I'm about. Or if someone's interested in coaching or consulting or training program, they can go to twocommacoach.com. And there's just a short little thing there, 3 questions. And if I like what they say, then I'll reach back out to them. If they say something weird, they'll never hear from me. I don't like, there's no spamming list they're going to be added to or any of that.
Right.
And then I'm also going to, I don't know if you want me to share, like you asked before if I have a freebie to give.
Oh yeah, guys. Hey, yeah, Bill's going to give us something awesome to put here in the content toolbox. So
I've got a free membership site. It's called proven2profit.com. The number 2, proven2profit.com. Because everything I share is literally proven to profit. Like I'm not a theorist. Like I share things that I've actually done. And everything that I've failed at, which is a lot, I don't bother sharing.
Smart. That's good.
You don't want to learn like what I failed at. It makes an interesting story sometimes, but maybe you don't want me to teach that to you. So in that site, I've got a bunch of free trainings. Some are podcast interviews like this. And also you can download a copy of my book, Generating Clients for Life, in there, which shares some of my success stories and how I've helped different business people in all kinds of industries, from restaurants to real estate. So there's a bunch of free stuff in there, and they're more than welcome to it. Again, there's not going to be any kind of spamming. Like you put your email in there, that's for you. Like it's not something I'm doing. I have a list. But like I said, I haven't even been mailing to it because I don't need to.
Nope. Just talk to the ones you need to. I will make sure that the links are included below here, and we'll include the stuff in the content toolbox. So, sorry. Any final parting words of advice here, Bill?
Sell. Like, just don't be afraid. I'm going to assume that most of your audience is entrepreneurs, but like, even if they're not, like everything is sales. Like everything, even like our kids in schools, like if they want to get a better grade, they're going to have to sell their teacher, like on why they deserve that better grade. Or like maybe they need help, but they're afraid to ask the teacher. They need to sell that teacher on how to ask and get the help that they need so they can get the grade that they want. Just don't be afraid, because failure is really the best teacher, experience. Because when we fail, like if we pay any attention at all, we should be learning what not to do next time.
Yep.
So just do it. Just go sell. Don't be afraid, because people, not only do they need your help, they want your help.
Absolutely. Great advice. Thank you so much. Awesome. I have had so much fun. I really appreciate your time today and sharing your amazing background with us and then your amazing background.
Hopefully you'll have me on again sometime. It's been a lot of fun and I look forward to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much again. I really do appreciate it. And you guys, make sure you go grab all the info that Bill's sharing here with us and check it out and go follow him, and he can help you out with so much more.
All right, Jennifer.
Awesome. Thanks, Bill.